Quite a selection of badges on the front of this Riley Kestrel. Wow, look at these. The Lister D stationary engine powered motorbike. The Ransom's traction engine, this one. I can definitely see myself in a Ford Model Y just like this one in a few years' time. Jostling for position. Today on CarTraction, I am at the Malpas Yesteryear Rally, which is basically the perfect place for any classic car or classic vehicle enthusiast to be on a Saturday morning. Today we will be seeing the fantastic collection of classic cars, classic trucks, motorbikes, push bikes, literally everything is here, including this very, very nice and original Vauxhall Viva. It's an HA shape, the first shape of the Vauxhall Vivas. I'm sure some of you guys remember these little two-door saloons with the old two-door. I've never really thought about that, to be honest. Got the side opening rear window, that would either come out like that or like that. We've got the A40 Farina at home. I think ours go out like that, as opposed to the wind up and wind down windows on the front of that. That looks a very nice original little car there. 14,500 miles since new. I'm not surprised. That looks super original. Nice. Another classic British saloon here. This is a Morris Minor, and it's a very early one. It's a split screen, this one, so this has the 803cc BMC A series engine, which I think is the smallest iteration of the A series power plant that was ever in a Morris Minor. So that's really quite rare, actually. You see a lot of Morris Minors, but trust me, this is quite a rare variant up there with the low light, very early ones. Triumph TR7 here. Fixed head, those are available as a convertible and a fixed head. And on the Rostow wheels is this great looking Austin A35. This is from 1957, owned by the current owner for 44 years, used regularly. And looks quite sporty on those Rostow wheels, most commonly seen on the likes of MGBs and cars like that. That's a great looking little car, that. I do like that. Nice, usable, maybe first classic. Still yet to see what my first classic should be. Would it be maybe one of these, a Wolseley 1500? These are probably quite affordable and nice to drive little cars. You've got some great looking Miller spot lamps on the front of that one. Those are actually really nice original period mods. On the front of this very sharp Wolseley 1500. A lot of British cars here today. And it looks like there are a few more to come. Rover P4, very nice classic British saloon, 6 cylinders in those. As I said, it's not just classic cars today, there's also steam, traction engines, traction like lorries, like steam lorries, vintage trucks. I'll try to get a look at all of them. And yeah, I've got this fantastic Triumph Roadster here. Really sort of grand front on these. Got these huge front wings on them. Quite a distinctive front on these Triumph Roadsters. Column change gearbox. Late 1940s and 50s in date. That's a very handsome car. That little Marcos here, sort of 60s, more likely 70s little sports car. That's obviously British as well. And the first non-British car of the day. This looks to be perhaps in a fairly early Opel Manta Coupe. It's very hard to tell with all these rally stickers. Got the matte black bonnet. That's quite a common classic rally car feature. Stops the glare. This one looks to have competed in a variety of historic rallying events. Yeah, cool livery on that one, very period correct with the Hella spot lamps. 1972, it's a 2-litre GTE. This Opel Manta Coupe 2-door. It looks great, that, doesn't it? Very period-esque livery. Rover 3-litre, the P5 shape of the Rover 3 litres here. Available as the 3.5-litre Rover V8 and the smaller 3-litre 6-cylinder straight 6 engine. Another Austin, it's an A30 this one is, so this is the smaller. Saw the A35 earlier, that was with the large back window and the 948cc A series. This is the earlier car, very slightly earlier. This one is from 1950? 55, there you go, 1955. Struggling to read that there, that's a bit scary. 16, 4-door. A30 with the 803cc BMC A series engine in that one, as opposed to the 948 in the 35 we saw earlier. That looks a very, very handsome little car. Restored 12 years ago, was very, very rusty, to quote that information sheet. Got the Mustang here. This is a notchback Mustang, looking very, very nice in this sharp blue, actually very American colour, from 67 this one. First American of the day, American design, you could say, on this Austin Cambridge, Austin A60 Cambridge to be specific. Farina design, but it's quite similar to the likes of the American cars of the period. 1963 tax list, that's probably when this car's from. 1600 engine in these. Is it like a derivative of the A series? Well, it would be a B series at 1600. I'm not exactly sure which Austin engine would have been in this one. And that looks a very, very handsome Farina designed, of course. Austin Cambridge, really do like that. Very usable classic there. Just beyond the Cambridge is the MG-YT. Only sort of 10 years older or so, a little bit more than 10 years, but just looks so, so different in terms of design. Got the straight lines of the Farina, pin and Farina designed, and then the curvy traditional British designs on this MG-YT, the convertible variant of the MG post-war 1.25 litre MG Y series cars, as in the YA and YB, which are sort of post-war saloons. It's a great looking little car. That's seen this one more and more. It seems to get around quite a bit. Little Mini here, another A series engine car. Of course, transversely mounted in those. There's Triumph Spitfire. It's a 1500, so effectively a Mark V. You could say. There's some very cool little wire wheels on that one. Very jazzy on that Spitfire. Here's another Rover P5, but this is the P5B, the 3.5 litre Rover V8. Saw the 3 litre just a couple of minutes ago, but this is the big Rover V8 engine car. This one from 1971, the P5B. It's a very usable car once again. Triumph Stag, another V8. This is just a 3 litre V8 in these, as opposed to the 3.5 in the Rover P5. Very nice shade of blue. And the Triumph Stag, and just beyond that is a Triumph 1500, the predecessor to the likes of the Triumph Dolomite. Very easy to mistake for a Dolomite. They're basically the same, but the main difference is, well, they look pretty similar. The main difference is these are front-wheel drive, which is quite unusual, I suppose, for the time. There's likes the Triumph Toledo, which is the small one, and this is for sale, 1972 Triumph 1500 for £3,250, which, to be honest, doesn't seem bad at all for a nice usable classic like that. I know it's not in the most interesting colour. I would probably go for something older, but probably a very nice starter classic in that Triumph 1500. You could say this is another starter classic here. Rubber bumper, these are known as MGB-GT, known that's for these American spec bumpers. The earlier cars, I'm sure we'll be seeing one today, had some chrome bumpers, which people always prefer the look of. These aren't quite as popular, the rubber bumpers. They're raised the ride height for American regulations, because the MGB was very much geared towards the American market. But then again, it makes these slightly later ones more affordable, which might support other young people in classics. You never know. This looks to be an absolutely immaculate example in green. I'm sure that's restored, or at least had a paint job. That is absolutely gleaming today. Ford Fiesta, quite a modern one there. As I say, that's probably 40 years old, but quite modern for the likes of classic cars we've seen today. Now this, I think, is a VW variant. I think that's the actual name of this. We have actually got some handy exhibit log sheets. A Volkswagen Variant Estate from 1972. Rear engine, of course, there's a lot of Beetle DNA going on with this one. It's like the Type 3 sort of front. You could say Series 1, I think that is Jaguar E-Type. Deer Edge is a 67, somewhere around there. Very, very sleek and low when compared to what most people would have been driving in the time. That is a Ford Consul Mark II. Sold alongside the likes of the Ford Zephyrs and Zodiacs, the Consuls, the Forsun, the variant car. That's a really, really sharp looking 50s classic British saloon. Even a BARC badge on the front of that one. Just a little 4-cylinder in those, as opposed to the Zephyr and Zodiac, which of course were the 6-cylinders. 4 cylinders. Is this your car, sir?
Yes, it is.
How long have you had this console then?
5 years.
Right.
And that was rebuilding it.
Is it?
It's a barn find.
Was it a bit of a wreck, or was it sort of preserved okay?
Body was absolutely mint for it's no rust. It's 1957 Highline console. Yeah, and it took a lot of work.
Did it?
It was a barn find, 42 years sitting in a proper barn. Yeah, one lady owner from brand new.
Wow.
So yeah, it's only got 19,000 miles on it.
Wow, really?
The seats are all the original seats. If you took your camera around.
Yes, I'll have. Oh, thank you. Let's have a little look inside.
People nearly drool over the seats, and the backs are the same, but I've got covered.
Oh yeah. Wow.
That's the original seats.
So that's not retrimmed or anything.
No,
that's
and all that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
completely original, isn't it?
Yeah,
I suppose.
The
Yeah.
original rubber matting that you got with the car.
Yeah. When people put them away, as long as they shut the window.
Even all this, all original, all around the doors, everything.
Yeah, as long as they shut the window, the interior stays nice, doesn't it?
That's it, in the barns, yeah, that's what happens.
Yes.
I was told by Benny out the Mark II Owners Club that they only made this style interior for 6 months. If he's right or wrong, he knows the stuff. And they used to have big handles here to close the door.
Yes.
These didn't.
Oh, I see, yeah.
They stopped making them after 6 months.
Oh, right. So you'd have to sort of pull on that or something.
Where you and shut it. It doesn't have them. And he told me not to put them on.
Oh, yeah. Original, yeah. Wow. So it's column change by the looks of it. Yeah. What's it like to drive then, this one?
Oh, it's honest to God, I'm not lying. It's like driving a brand new. Well, it is. It's only got 19. It's like a brand new car.
Yeah.
Full brake system. Everything's been done on it. In and out. You name it's been done on it. I've gone through it like a fine-tooth comb.
Did you restore it yourself?
Yeah.
In your own garage?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
it's got to say, it's absolutely gleaming, you know. It's a credit to you. It's an absolutely fantastic car. Do you get to many shows in this one?
This is the second show. Kelsall was the first show, and it was 47 years Kelsall since it's ever been on the road. Fingers crossed, and off we went. And it run great, and this is the second show.
Right, so it's sort of fairly recently that you finished it, and it's on the road.
Yeah, only months back really, to be honest.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it's a bit of a trial to see where we end up.
Yes.
And, run it and see if anything breaks.
Yeah, you got to use these things, haven't you? That's what they're for.
It's absolutely stunning.
That is one fantastic console. Thanks very much to the owner for telling the story of it and having a look around it. But now the Steam stuff is off into the arena, so it gives us an opportunity to have a look at all these giants moving around. We will continue the classic car walk around very shortly, because it looks like no more coming, so we might as well continue. So there's that fantastic Mark II console, completely rust-free car, but he decided to fully restore it anyway. One of the best consoles I have ever seen. Sunbeam Talbot Tourer. Yeah, that's a sharp looking little car, that. Standard Vanguard Phase 1A. That will be the Beetleback shape of the Vanguards. The Phase 1A grille as well from 1951. Really do love these. Maybe we'll see a Standard 8. We're in the 1956 Standard 8 today. This Standard Vanguard is absolutely mint, and it does get around quite a bit. But will we see another Standard 8? That is yet to be seen. Standard 8 just 5 years younger than this one. And we also do have the Standard Motor Club badge on ours just down there. But yeah, really do love the look. And those Vanguards, now this is a Renault 8 Gordini here. Sporty version, you could say, of the Renault 8, rear engined and French, as you can see. Nice pair of stripes, I do like that. Here's a good looking car, isn't it? A Vauxhall Cresta, dripping in American design. Cresta being the 6-cylinder car, manufactured in Luton by Vauxhall. There's like the Velox, this sold alongside, which was the 4-cylinder car, the Cresta, the 6-cylinder larger engine car. And here is a chrome bumper MGB, silver rubber bumper earlier. This is the genuinely preferred and more desirable sort of era of MGB, with the earlier chrome grille as opposed to the rubber bumper, as they're known as, grille we saw earlier. So that's a nice, affordable, once again, quite a usable first classic for someone, or for someone who just wants a cool classic GT, because that looks great in that colour, doesn't it? Now, I don't think much more Steam stuff is coming. There is a lot down there, to be fair, so we'll have a look at those while they're static. We'll have a look at these now. This is a Land Rover. Now look at this. This is a Ford Prefect. It's the this is the early Prefect. This is the E93A. When you see most, where is it? Oh, I should really. This is it. Oh, I'd know it because there's the E493A Prefect, which is the most common one you see. But is this an E93? Oh, I really don't know. I should know that. If it is an E93A, then it is very, very rare indeed. It's a Ford side valve, obviously. Yeah, that's a good looking one, but look at this. We're hoping to see standards today, and this certainly suffices. Now, this is pre-war design, but it's not actually pre-war in date. It's 1948. This is a standard 14, so quite a large variant, actually. But that's so rare, isn't it? Lovely, lovely grille. Look at the condition of the chrome. That grille is so lovely and straight. The waterfall, not dissimilar to the likes of a Chrysler Airflow. That looks just stunning. 1948, as I've said. Part of the Standard Motor Club. That is just amazing. I think it is the E493A, that generation of the Ford Prefect, so it's not actually the early one, but still probably very early 50s in date approximately. But yeah, this Standard is absolutely stunning. Got another Butlins Car Club badge. There's one of those on that console we had a chat to the owner of before, but that is absolutely immaculate. Love the look of that. Pre-war in design, but post-war in date, Standard 14. A bit more Farina goodness. This is another Austin Cambridge. We saw one a few minutes ago. Another Butlins Car Club badge on the badge bar of this particular Farina saloon. A few nice period accessories with this one, like the cigarette cards, things like that. Just adds to the period feel of this 1960s family saloon. I'm sure some of you guys remember these. 1961, this was an A55. Very nice looking car. It's a Morris Minor van. Got some LED lights, which to be honest I'm not a fan of. I prefer originality. We've got some steel wheels as well. They're quite desirable now, these little light commercials, aren't they? And this is a really rare car actually. This is a fairly late Hillman Minx actually. I'd have guessed this is probably the generation that came after the Super Minx floor pan. It's for sale as well actually, this Hillman Minx. Quite late actually, it is for sale. And that's probably actually is a really usable little car. Obviously the paint is not the best in the world, but I wouldn't really care. As long as it's solid, then yeah, that's a good classic for somebody there for sale. Practical, 4-door, 4 seats, you know. Especially if you get 5 people, it's quite a wide rear bench seat, but that would actually be a really practical classic saloon car for someone. Yeah, very rare as well. I don't think I've ever seen another Hillman Minx of that generation, to be honest. Bit more 100y goodness now. This is a Ford Popular Deluxe. This one from 1962. It's got the Ford side valve, 1172. 4-cylinder in these, as opposed to overhead valve, which some of these did, but that, I don't think that counted as the 100y Popular. So it's a 2-door, this particular car. Yeah, they are good looking little cars, I think, that 100y shape. It's very nice. Now this looks to be a pre-war, at least in design, maybe pre-war in date, Austin 10. Nice and original looking car. I think it's slightly later than the likes of the Austin 10 Litchfield. I think it probably counts as an Austin 10-4, but that is not sort of confirmed by any means. It's certainly pre-war in design if it isn't in pre-war in date. And from one pre-war in design, at least, Austin, to a very post-war in design Austin. This kind of is a Mini, but it's probably actually badged up as an Austin 7. One of the very first of the Alec Isagonis Minis were actually badged up as Austin 7s, like the pre-war little side valve saloons. But this is of course A-series engined, side mounted, you could say. Transverse is the proper word, I suppose. And Austin 7 Deluxe from 1961. I think 61 must be, was it 59 the first year of them? But that's really rare and very early. It looks to be restored. If you look at the arches under there, it's absolutely immaculate. This particular little Mini, or this particular little Austin 7 I should be saying, that is one stunning little car. Over there is like a little miniature steamroller. Say miniature, it probably still weighs like 5 tons, but most of the steam rollers usually, it might be diesel, but I think, yeah, it's diesel powered. Most of the road rollers you see at these places are steam powered, but that's a later, probably 40s or so, diesel powered road roller, so that's pretty rare. And just beyond the great pair of classic and vintage Austins, we have a bit of Ford, bit of Dagenham goodness here. This is a Ford Zephyr, so we saw the console earlier, this is a Zephyr, so this is a 6-cylinder powered car as opposed to the smaller, less powerful, you could say, 4-cylinder we saw in the Mark II console. We saw earlier, this would also probably count as a Mark II Zephyr. Usable car, really, really pops, an American styling, of course, in the bright blue. Very, very nice. Now this is a Humber Super Snap. This is really, really rare. Actually, you don't see many Humbers of this date. This will be another 6-cylinder powered car. Sort of executive saloon of early 1960s at a guess of date, probably. It's the earlier type of Super Snap. There was a later Super Snap, but this has got the nice sort of curved glass, which is a lot more 50s styling than the likes of 1960s styling. So that is a really, really good looking Humber Super Snipe. That would just sit on the motorway happily at 65, nice powerful and quiet engine. That would actually be a really, really usable classic British saloon. I do like that one. Here there's an MGA in red. Looks like we've got a bit of carburettor fettling on this particular Triumph Spitfire. It's a Spitfire 4, so the Mark IV Triumph Spitfire there. A bit more Triumph goodness. This is a Triumph Herald from 1967, so that's probably actually fairly early for a 1360 Herald. There's the 1250 that came earlier than these, which had a different front, but it was a pretty similar floor plan. But this is the later 1360 Herald, but 1967 is probably quite an early year actually for the 1360 shape of Herald, referring to 1300cc and 60 brake horsepower. That's why they're called a 1360. So that's probably actually one of the earliest 1360s I've seen in a long time. Quite rare as well, being the coupe or the convertible, you could say. That's probably actually a really rare little car being that early. This is a Morris Mini Estate. That's a fantastic looking little car. I think we'll hop over the barrier for this one. It's not the highest of security, you could say. Yeah, look at that. That is just gorgeous, isn't it? I love Woodies, I really do. And that's just fantastic. It's like a miniature Morris Minor Traveller in many respects. But that is just a lovely looking little car. Morris, so it's probably actually rarer. There are these minis badged both as Austins and Morrises. You see more Austin badged minis than Morris minis, so this is probably once again just that little bit rarer. But it's just so nice being a Woody. That is just a beautiful, beautiful little car. Sliding windows. It's a really early one as well. I might be able to discern the registration to find out what the date of this one is. I might not be able to F-reg, so I can't actually, I don't know F. If anyone does, but let me know. But that is just a gorgeous little mini Traveller. That's one of my favourites so far. Really usable car. Once again, that's a Cortina. That could be a Mark IV or 5. I've forgotten the differences, to be honest. Quite a sharp looking car. Early 1980s at a guess in date. And this is it a Camaro, Chevrolet Camaro? The SS, I think, would indicate this is indeed a Chevrolet Camaro. Fastback, you could say, with the vinyl roof, 2-door coupe. Yeah, vinyl roof, very, very in keeping with 1970s Americana. It might be late 60s, I suppose. This is a bit of a puzzler. Is it maybe a Dodge? I'll have to hop. I think it might be a Dodge. This one, perhaps an early Charger, something like that. It's a 2-door coupe, obviously. Yes, a Dodge Charger, there you go. Very obscure variant. I've never quite seen a Dodge Charger like this particular one, the Charger SE. I don't know whether that really means anything, but absolutely vast Dodge Charger. Very cool in its own way. The shape at the back of that's incredible. A lot of people call it the Coke bottle rear end shape. That's an amazing looking car. Just beyond that, there's a great demonstration of the variety of these classic car shows. We get a huge piece of Americana, then a nice traditional little British saloon. This is a 4-door saloon, suicide doors, some people say, rear hinge doors, others say. But this is a Lanchester LD10. This one is the Briggs bodied car. They were bodied by separate companies, these. This particular one has been bodied by Briggs. A lot of cars this period were sold just as a sort of engine and front, and then the body at the back was decided by whatever coach builder you decided to commission your car for. I do really like these Lanchester LD10s. This is in like a kind of quite cool actually, purple. We've had 2 black ones of these, and the bonnet release mechanism is the most satisfying thing in the world. It's how old is this? Like 47. I don't really know. It's certainly just post-war, but I actually really like these. Really nice, usable if you want a really old-looking car. And we've got some of the steam stuff going past again, so I might cut off from the classic car walk around to have a little ponder at these, because they are fantastic bits of machinery. Bit of jostling for position with the traction engine and road roller, although it looks like the road roller's fallen back a bit, the old Fowler. These are sort of very late 1800s, early 1900s and date these. At the time these would have been doing all the sort of road repairs. This is a Fowler engine, this one, the road roller. We know someone who has a way smaller one than this one. It always leaves grooves in the road. This is probably twice the weight of that particular one. This is a much larger engine, which probably makes quite a groove in the road. You can actually see the road rollers have been here because the ground is incredibly flat in that section. They obviously just flattened with that sort of front, big huge front wheel that sort of used the sheer weight of them to flatten. And looks like we got a miniature traction engine coming up here, I suppose. Somewhat more usable. You have to warm up the huge ones for hours on end before you can get them going, and then they still might blow up. So that's a much smaller, very, very cool little miniature traction engine. Lots of love and time goes into these miniature ones. Very, very satisfying mechanisms to watch. That one is going like the clappers. There's even a pickup type traction engine. That's really, really cool, that. You often see the steering wheels on these old traction engines. They sort of have to go around really, really, really quickly like that. That's because they're geared super low, because obviously the steering would be so heavy if it was just a few turns lock to lock. So that's why they're really, really low geared. The steering, you can see the driver really going at it. That's what all of these are like. That's to make the steering, as it's so low geared, it just means it's a lot lighter and easier to use. But it just means you have to wind it about 20 times to make the slightest turn. But that's a super, super rare. I've never seen that before. The pickup traction engine, obviously still steam powered. Right, so let's pick up where we left off regarding the classic car section. Just beyond the Briggs bodied Lanchester is a Riley Kestrel Mark II, based on the BMC 8016 platform, which you may know a little bit better as the 1100 and 1300 cars. But this is a Riley Kestrel, which is a 1300, effectively a 1275 A series. Once again, also transversely mounted, just like the Minis that came before. It's a really rare little car with some goodies for sale. Yeah, very, very rare being a Riley variant. And this is a Austin 7 Ruby, this one. 1937, found in a garden and recovered. That looks a nice usable pre-war car, one of the most affordable pre-war cars out there really. An Austin 7 Ruby. And yeah, we've got a bit of Americana over here now. I think this is it a Buick Super? I think it's a Buick probably 1956 or 1957. Absolutely stunning bit of design. We've got some sort of like metal flake paintwork going on this one. That's certainly non-original. I don't know whether you can see it, but there's a slight sort of flake regarding the paintwork of this Buick. Oh, it's an Oldsmobile there, sorry. Oldsmobile Super there. It looks very, very similar to a Buick, I've got to say. Almost identical, maybe a partnership or something to the likes of the mid to late 50s Buicks. Look, they look really, really similar, but yeah, stunning car, that Oldsmobile. Sorry for mistaking it as a Buick, but can't know everything. Got a trio of Heinkels here, very cool little bubble cars. These are always a crowd favourite really, and you can see why. They're just fantastic little things, aren't they? The closest one here in green from 1957. And got the pink Heikel here, also from 1957. and then the doors open on what I think actually might be a Trojan, or it might be a Heinkel. Very, very similar. That's really cool in red. And then we got these two here as well. Very, very nice. This is a Riley RMA. It's the 1.5 litre, so it's the 4-cylinder. I think these might be twin cams. So I think they might be twin cam, but there was a 4-cylinder which was a 1.5 litre and a 2.5 litre. This is a 1.5 litre. The 2.5 litres are actually quite rare. You don't see them all that often. Yeah, unusual paint, like two-tone colours. Haven't seen one like that before, but it looks very, very nice, doesn't it? 1952, that one actually. This is a pre-war design, so yeah, I think it's probably pre-war manufactured. Dad's filming me. Wolseley, this is the Wolseley New Hornets, this one from 1935. It's a 6-cylinder. It's overhead cam. That's quite interesting. Quite advanced for the time. I think Wolseleys were quite advanced for their time. Obviously in the mid-30s this would have been a pretty typical middle upper class maybe family saloon. One family from 1935 to 1973. And this little Wolseley badge here should light up on command. But yeah, I do like these pre-war 6-cylinder Wolseleys. I can definitely see myself in one of those in hopefully not too long. I'm not sure there'll be many other 16-year-olds here today hankering after that beautiful Wolseley New 6, but yeah, here I am, I guess. So this is a Morris Mini, but this is British Leyland badge. It's the British Leyland era of Mini. It's the 850cc BMC A series, and this one obviously transversely mounted, as you can see. Single SU carburettor by the looks of it. Very clever design, really. This is absolutely immaculate, but I do just love pre-war saloons. That is... yeah, I do like that one. Now this is a Ford Taunus, this one. It's got a 1.5 badge. This is a really unusual car. Australian market, I think it's left-hand... oh wait, no. If it was Australian, it'd be right-hand drive. So it's probably American market or somewhere. Left-hand drive. The Ford Taunus. I think these might be German, actually. Quite a few of these were sold... no, yeah, I think actually these were quite popular in Germany. It's got a 1974 tax disc, so it might be German. This is a fantastic Jeep. This is just post-war. It's not like the wartime Jeeps, which are the ones everyone thinks of when you say Jeep. This seems to be from 1946, so just post-war. It's obviously the post-war design of Jeep. It's sort of demilitarized civvy version of the wartime Jeep. We've got these fantastic vintage indicators. Those are really, really nice. Really cool oily ragger, this one. So nice and original. This is probably sat in someone's barn. Judging by its condition, probably a relatively dry barn, which I think we were all thankful for, especially the owner, because it would have meant a lot more work, but I don't know. It looks really nice and original, unmolested. Really good looking oily rag Willys Jeep there. Ford Mustang here. This is another notchback. F-Reg, just like, I don't know what F is, I'm not going to pretend that, but it's sort of late 60s in date at a guess. What is this? There's a Dutton now. Dutton did kits based on things, and this is a real puzzler. You've got side pipes on a very vocal looking side pipe, but I really, really don't know what the story of this is. It's a Dutton Sierra kit. This one, so do they mean Ford Sierra? I really know nothing about that. It does not look like a Ford Sierra. That is a very, very puzzling car. One car I can tell you a bit more about is the Morris Minor 1000 Traveller. We're seeing plenty of A-series engine cars, I suppose. The original engine design went into so many classic now British cars, saloons, Travellers, Minis. Such a good engine design, really. Quite a late one, that one by the looks of it. There's an MG TD, this one, and the 1.25 litre 1250cc 4-cylinder. Don't see many of these in green, actually, so that's quite rare. They're usually in sort of red, so that looks quite cool in green, actually, from 1950. That one, so just post-war. And the steel wheels, that's quite a good looking little car, that, actually. MGB here. This has the Ross style wheels, which we saw earlier on an Austin A35. MG Midget. Surprised it's taken so long to see one of these. These are very popular little pint-sized sports cars. An MG Midget square arch there. MG TF, much earlier, 1950s, mid-1950s in date. The car that actually came after the TD we just saw, 1954 this. So the TD mustn't have run on for too long, but then again you don't see too many of these either. An MGB here. This would have been a rubber bumper like the one we saw earlier, but it has since been converted to the chrome bumper front. People do that because they prefer the designs of the front of the earlier cars. This looks to be an MGTA, this one is, so pre-war, in date 1937. Quite hard to identify these. They look very similar to the likes of the MGTC, which was effectively this car, the post-war version, but this is the pre-war MGTA from 1937. This one has got a 1300 4-cylinder in it. Looks quite sporty with the green slats on the grille. I do like the look of that pre-war British sports car. Very, very quintessential. MGC 1968, 150 brake horsepower, 3 litre C series, straight 6 in these. There's only 52 of them, I'm told, by the information sheet. You can see the much larger engine as opposed to the MGB, the 1.8 litre 4-cylinder in those. So yeah, quite a rare car. One of the main differences is obviously the MGC badging. There's a slight hump in the bonnet. You can just see it for the carburetors for the larger 6-cylinder engine as opposed to the little 4-cylinder. So yeah, really rare car this. Bit more 816 goodness. This is an Austin 1300 GT Mark III from 1972. Another BMC A series engine car, transversely mounted once again. In aqua, very, very cool colour for that one. Mark 1 Escort, flared arches and turbocharged by the looks of things. That looks like quite a drive, that one. Obviously a swapped engine, it would not have had what looks to be maybe a Z-Tech 16 valve 4-cylinder in that one. That's obviously been swapped and all rally prepared in order to gain maybe the fastest time on the rally stages or whatever motorsport that will has been engineered for. Got the Mark II Cortina here. This has just got the conventional sort of single cam 4-cylinder. That will be its original engine, probably single carburettor. Although we have got quite a tasty exhaust manifold setup. Tubular manifolds on this Mark II Cortina, so it's quite purposeful. Actually, that one, quite a bit modified. There's a Ford Escort Mark I van. These fast forwards are always popular with car enthusiasts. Ford Sierra. Another British Leyland era Mini. Much later Mini, probably badged up as a Rover Mini, this one. And yet another A-series engine car here. This is a Austin Healey Frog Eye Sprite. Very nice in duck egg blue. Now this is just fantastic, isn't it? Bit of pre-war goodness, but that is just... I'm sorry if I'm going to spend a while on this one car, but I just love a Ford Model Y. Just so beautifully original. We've got the badge for the Ford 8 horsepower. That's the horsepower rating. Of course, it does make more than 8 brake horsepower. It's to do with tax the horsepower rating on this particular 35, I think that one is, Ford Model Y. But that is just in fantastic original condition, isn't it? The paint on that is just, it's taken years to look like that. Why ever would anyone repaint a car that looks like that? That just looks so nice and original. That's how it would have looked in the 1950s and 60s, and then it's probably put away in a barn until maybe the 2000s and then resurrected by an enthusiast and just left untouched. It might have been mechanically overhauled, which is fair enough, but the original pattern of look is preserved. Now I actually want to have a look at the inside of this because I very, very much fancy Ford Model Y. It's one of the sort of best looking pre-war cars, I think, out there. It's got a Ford side valve 4-cylinders in these, which is a fairly sort of easy to work on engine. I've done a bit of research on them. You've got some little indicators. Those are probably 1960s edition, just to keep the car up to date with the 1960s cars it was sort of sharing the roads with. But yeah, the paint on this is it's just great, isn't it? It just looks perfect. The interior is amazing in it as well. So nice and original. I bet it smells so good in there. Going around the back, not an inch of rust on this one, not actually real sort of structural rust. There's bits of patina and surface rust, but that's okay. It's got like a sort of vinyl roof. That probably will have deteriorated a little bit after being sat in a barn for a while, but apart from that, it's just in the perfect condition, this Ford Model Y. It really is just great. I'd love original looking pre-war cars, you know, almost 100 years old, still in its original paint. It's just fantastic, isn't it? Original drum brakes, no sort of silly LED light swaps, just everything absolutely how it would have been I'm sorry if I'm waxing lyrical about this one, it's a bit too long, but I really do fancy a Ford Model Y, and this is the one I'd have, nice and original, nice and oily rag. Wouldn't want an over-restored example, that's not what we're here about in CarTraction. Originality is everything, and especially when the paint's original. Like, that's a Triumph Mayfly over there, which is a very, very rare car. It's a fascinating car, I'll talk about it in a moment, but if I compare the sort of immaculate repainted paintwork on that one to the original oily rag paintwork on that, I just love that look. It's just been achieved over so many years, and the paintwork on this one's probably 10 years old, probably not even that. This is a Triumph Mayflower, which is a sort of post-war saloon, really not popular in a period, to be honest. I don't think they did very well, and it's a very rare classic car today. You really just hardly see any of these. That is absolutely mint, but me being me, I just love oily rag cars. Just, yeah, original number plates, original number by the looks of things as well. It's just, that is probably my favourite car. Of all the shiny cars here, I would probably have that Ford Model Y. Right, I think it's time to move on, but that is just my attainable dream car. That's Ford Model Y is, so we do have to move on. There are other things to look at here. Got the Morris Minor Traveller here. This is obviously a restored example. Very, very cool in the sort of maroon colour. This is a Triumph 1500, so we've seen two 1500s here, not one Dolomite as of yet. So this is also the front wheel drive one as opposed to the later Dolomites. 1973 this one, registered in 72, so it might have sat in the dealership for a few months or so, but yeah, that's a super cool looking car. Triumph Spitfire, this looks to be either a Spitfire 4 or a Triumph Spitfire Mark 5. This is a Land Rover Series 1. These are really, really popular cars now. 56. This one is by the looks of things. Yeah, Land Rover's getting ever more popular by the day. Seems to be a very good community for Land Rovers. And it's a Series 3, also looking very original. Looks like the miniature traction engines are on their way back from the arena now. I love that miniature road roller. See plenty of miniature traction engines, but no, not many people have miniature road rollers, so that's real rarity there. These are always very satisfying to watch. Amazing bits of engineering, especially in miniature and large. We've got an overtake going on here with the pickup overtaking the traction engine. They do smell very, very good as well, these. Smelling coals, probably not the best pastime. We've got another overtake going on here, but they do smell nice. That's a Foden, that one, in miniature. Just behind that, a miniature traction engine. That's actually quite a large one, that one. You see all the mechanisms working away as they should be. That's a great one, that. There's another slightly small, actually that's quite another very large scale actually miniature traction engine. I think that one's just an especially large one over there. They just look great together, these things, don't they? Handy trailer on the back of that miniature traction engine. Just in front of the bull-nosed Morris. And the Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit there as well. As you can see, all the steam lorries, traction engines and road rollers are all in the arena at the moment. That's an especially cool Tarmac branded Sentinel steam lorry. That's a spectacular lorry, that. Hopefully they shouldn't be in there too long. We'll be able to get some clips of them coming out of the arena. Certainly quite a turnout, isn't it? The Ransom's traction engine, this one. This road roller is going at quite a lick. Wow, a burrell that one. Just the might of them, it's incredible, isn't it? Looks to be a very, very similar burrell. Well, not actually very similar, but another burrell road roller just behind. These things are great at flattening roads just because they weigh an insane amount. Can you imagine storing one of those and warming it up for 8 hours and travelling to these places at literally about 5 miles per hour? Look at that one though, absolutely stunning. And here's a greens like diesel powered roller, but just behind that, which is very, very oily and original, is the stunning Sentinel tarmac steam lorry. That is absolutely incredible. Steam powered Sentinel lorry. There's another Fowler road roller just behind. This is probably by far the sort of most advanced looking of the steam ones. Can you imagine that on the road? Which must be absolutely incredible. Probably a lot more usable. It's not on solid tyres, obviously rubber inflated tyres. Probably quite a bit more usable than the likes of these engines. Jostling for position. See the chain driven mechanism on that particular flatbed steam lorry. There's actually a traction engine race going on over there. I know it may not look like it, but they are racing. There's some star jumps for some reason. I don't quite know what this is. Full steam ahead on that traction engine, or road roller I should really say. You can really see how low geared the steering is. I think the one on the left's winning at the moment. These two are stuck there. It's a riveting contest for first position. I think this particular road roller was the winner of that somewhat peculiar race. Tooting in celebration. Floria vintage motorbikes. That's an especially old and nice flat tanker. I do love the pre-war era of motorcycles. Lots of 20s to sort of 60s. Look at that for a sidecar. Scramblers, scooters, roadsters, they're all here. I remember that sidecar from the Onslow Park Vintage Steam Rally. That is fantastic. Now today, as I said, we're actually in the 1956 Standard 8, but it was a bit of a last minute decision to come here because we were thinking of going to VSCC Lowton Park, and then we realised all the big bangers, the big ERAs are actually at Goodwood this weekend, so we came here for the Malpas Yesteryear Rally, which seems to be a decision that's paying off, but it means that we only get in at about 10 o'clock, and it means that we don't get here at the crack of dawn like we usually do, so I don't know whether we'll find time to look at all of the military things here. We're only here for the one day. Obviously it's already like 1:30 or something, and I've only just finished the classic cars section, but one of the highlights has to be the Scammell. This is like the forerunner to the Scammell Pioneer diesel engine. They're just insanely powerful things, these. Absolutely love them. They're just fantastic, aren't they? I think it's an AEC towing this like missile launcher or something. Just amazing wartime vehicles, these. But we'll have a look around some of the highlights on this outside road. There's a tank just back there, but as I said, because we're with sort of the public commoners as opposed to displaying our car like we normally would be if we would have booked earlier. Obviously you can't really book in, so we're just in the standard in the public car park. Because a couple of years ago we had the huge Dodge Transporter, which would have fitted in with this crowd. There's the sort of side view of that fantastic wartime AEC. There's a DAF here, a couple of wartime Jeeps. This one's got all the period accessories, including, well, it's got a list, a few first aid tin, a couple of bikes over there, rifle, ammunition, camera, helmet, binoculars. It's kitted out.
Northern France.
Oh yeah, Northern France map, because these would have operated there, wouldn't they, I suppose, in the D-Day. Oh yeah, we went to France this year. It was like down a little bit from Bologna, wouldn't it?
Across here somewhere around there.
I can't even remember. Oh, there's Neglavie. So it's like, that was where that 2CV was, wasn't it? Check out my French video and Dad's French video for a really oily rag 2CV in Magneville. Oh yeah. But yeah, we found all sorts of stuff in like Valogne and Briquebec, and somewhere up here as well near Bayeux, Saint-Merglise. We didn't go there this year actually. Saint-Sauveur. Did we go there? I feel like we might have. Yeah, check out that video on the channel homepage if you want to see all sorts of abandoned, scruffy and on the road French cars, because France is a great hunting ground. There's all sorts of interesting cars dotted around on that map. If there were to be dots, the whole map would just be the colour of the dots. There's so many interesting classic cars just dotted around and abandoned there, and you can check that out in the video, probably uploaded a couple of weeks ago by now. And also we've got the Bakelite radio just down there. Believe it or not, this tank actually has a Jaguar XK straight 6 engine. Dad is quite keen on this US Navy done up Dodge, very original, probably its original war colours and that just looked fantastic, probably abandoned in a northern French barn. I know it's Navy actually, so I mean Navy, it would have been exposed to a lot of salt, so I bet a lot of these rotted away actually, so that's actually preserved really well, especially for a US Navy. This wartime Dodge, which just looks fantastic and original. Then we got this interesting little tractor here. And I'm just looking at the engine because that looks to be a Ford side valve engine. There's maybe an 1172 or something a little bit smaller. But I think that's a Ford side valve engine in whatever that little tractor is. Very cool little thing that. Belgian built Land Rover here, known as the Minerva. Quite interesting in blue. It's actually for sale, that example. Much rarer than the likes of the Series 1 Land Rovers you see everywhere. And there's a Bedford Green Goddess. Looks to have been converted to living accommodation in its time, but that used to be a fire engine on like RAF airfields in the sort of 50s. Austin K9. Like a radio communications transporting truck. BSA, that looks also maybe to have living accommodation in the back. Living accommodation makes sense in the back of these. You've got the space, especially like that. You don't need all the fire sort of pumps and things. It just makes these sort of 3-day weekend steam rally things, if you want to exhibit, you can just stay over in the van, you don't have to go home again, so that's quite handy. That's a Ford V8, that is wow. That's really cool. That's probably actually one of my favourites, a Ford V8 military truck. There's an Austin Champ here from 1954, quite similar to the likes of a Jeep, and a Morris Commercial. That's a beautiful truck, that. Really smooth sounding 6-cylinder petrol engine. 1952, that one. Absolutely stunning, but another very nice sounding truck would be that Ford. That is so cool. The Ken Fox Wall of Death is actually on show there. And the last time we actually did come to Malpas, I filmed that, and if I do have some clips of it, I'll put them in now. We won't go in today because there's not much time, as I said, but it is an incredible spectacle. I think it's one of the last surviving Wall of Death organisations still using the old Indian bikes. There's one over there. Indian bikes are just some of the best bikes, but yeah, if I can find them, then I'll put some clips of the amazing Wall of Death riders in. Back at the standard now. Before asking, Dad even got 2 sausage rolls, so that's good and everything. So quick pit stop, and then I suppose we'll have a look at the vintage trucks and maybe some motorcycles as we have not seen those yet. I've succumbed to the auto jumble, guys. £5 later, Castrol tin. That'll be going home. We got the organ, which is quite vocal. I'd say that's pretty restrained, to be honest. Out of all the old bikes and many things at the auto jumble here, I think that's fair enough, that, for £5 in it. It can go with my other 37 Castrol tins. Yes, it's the proper Castrol cap. £5, couldn't argue against that. Right, so I think now it's about time we had a look at some vintage trucks. Wow, look at these. So I've got to just walk around with this now, but I don't think we'll be complaining about that. So we'll have a little look around the small commercial and the large commercial section. I'll have a look at this row first. We're starting off with this fantastic Bedford OB, the dual-bodied coach. Dad really fancies one of these, but they are big money now. These, unfortunately for us, they are just gorgeous though, aren't they? This is from 1950, petrol power, 6-cylinder I think they have. They are very lovely things. ERF, Thames Trader. Try to get the gist of the trucks, but I don't know whether they'll be able to look at everything. I think Dad quite likes this Leyland bus over here. That's coach, I should really be saying, shouldn't I? A Leyland Cub coach. You can hear the Indians going around the wall of death. That is an amazing spectacle, considering those bikes are like 70 years old or something, and they're still riding sideways up a wall, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, lovely Leyland Cub. It's a Thames here. That's quite a usable little truck. I do like that. Thames ET6 3.6 litre 3-ton truck from 1954. Ford Transit Mark 1. And an ERF here, flatbed. I do like the front of those. Morris Minor, that's a modified pickup, that one. Oh, there's a J-Type over there, Morris J-Type. I'll have to have a look at that one, just behind the Morris. This is an Austin LG from 1955. A stock lorry. It's actually a Reliant, I think it is, truck behind there, or a little van. We'll have a look at that after. Austin LG. Looks like it's been through quite the restoration. This one you can see, that's the flap where the engine would usually go under. There's my reflection with the Castrol tin. And this is a Guy coach, this one, London Transport. Bedford, is it the O series or something? What I do know is it has a lovely Bedford Drivers Club badge on it just down there. Absolutely immaculate, this one, isn't it? Ford, is that the D series? I really don't know much about old trucks. ERF, Morris Commercial. That's a Bedford, quite a late one with some huge windows, so that's a great visibility of that one on the end. There's a Bedford ambulance on the end there. That's a lovely original 6-cylinder ambulance, an AEC. And Morris, that's quite an interesting one with a Cummins turbo diesel engine. 1967 it says on the side of that one. An Austin Library van, that's really nice, that. I tell you, it's a good workout for my right arm that's holding the camera one-handed, because I'm obviously carrying this Castrol tin here, because it is not a light camera, this one, but yeah, very good for the workout, of course. This is, I won't need to do any push-up later. This is an Atkinson here. Amazing visibility of those huge windows, lovely curved glass on this AEC Matador. This is an interesting oily rag Bedford. This one's actually quite local to us, I believe. I do see it around just generally, because it's interesting how any classic cars that are perhaps more usable than the trucks, you see loads of them come to shows, but you very rarely see them actually just out and about in the middle of the week. I know people have got jobs, but you never see people just sort of a lot of the time just driving these. But yeah, I was just saying, Dad, like, we don't see many like old things just driving, but this we do see.
We do, yeah.
No, this just like goes out for a drive now and then. Oh yeah, it's not quite matching. Race straps on both.
Bucket seat with.
Yeah, and then a bench seat. yeah. This actually gets out quite often. Just like, is it a daily or does he just drive it regularly? But it is nice to see something so old, literally just not just coming out for the shows and just coming out like now and again, because people do need to use these things regularly like we do. There's another Ford D series, a Volvo here. Leyland Beaver, that's a great looking truck. That's a Morris Commercial, that's a lovely pre-war pickup there from 1936. The T2, 88 years old, restored 3 years ago. Current owner's the third owner, Mr. Austin Ellis. An AEC Mercury, AEC Coach, paying what ERFs. Lovely, the sign writing on these. There's like an old diesel engine or something on the back, or it might be a petrol I suppose, but yeah, I wonder what that one's for. Lovely little Bedford, another 6-cylinder one That's actually one of my favourites. Really nice, usable little pickup. The 6-cylinder petrol engine would be so smooth in that. That's a very nice and original ERF actually. I love the look of chrome when it's just pitted. Chrome can obviously look very shiny and impressive, but I actually prefer the look of it when it's all nice and pitted and original. That's got like the old sign writing on it. That looks fantastic, that one. So this is an Austin chummy van, a bread maker's van, and I think in the back we have some of the products, bread and cakes in the back of there. I don't think they're actually real because someone would have probably indulged in one of the two of them now, but I think they are a bit plastic, so not the tastiest in the world, but that is certainly one tasty Austin 7 chummy van. Morris J type, that's a lovely little van, that. And here's a Reliant van, very iconic of course, with the sort of motorbike front. Very handsome AEC Matador parked over there. That one's been on the show scene for a long time and still looks absolutely fantastic, nice and original. There's like a trailer here, a living trailer, but this is what really interests me. Look at that fantastic AEC Matador with actually the engine in the front. Most of these are forward control like that, where the engine's sort of underneath the cab, but this is the sort of traditional engine at the front with the big bonnet. Probably a huge diesel engine, might be petrol, but it's more likely diesel I'd say. And Matador oil engine, so I presume you'd hop up onto the sort of skirting here to work on the engine. I presume all that bonnet would sort of unbolt relatively easily. It's absolutely towering over me and my Castrol can here. Yeah, just amazing, huge, powerful bits of kit. You got the AEC duck mascot on that one. And just beyond that is a Foden for Blue Circle Cement. That's quite a recent one on the scene. It's been on the show scene for a couple of years only. And this fantastic Foden. I think these have like an aluminium bodied cab. I'm not sure, I'll have to ask Dad. But this is like a British Railway Services livery truck. Very handsome. There's a comma next to it. And I like the look of this. A Leyland Comet this one is. Once again converted to living accommodation. And that's a very handsome truck. That looks really cool actually. It's quite similar to it's like a miniature version of our Dodge Transporter at home. The bodywork at the back is actually quite similar. The way it's sort of, it's quite similar to the back of our 1940 Dodge Alfa Romeo 8C Transporter. So yeah, I was always going to like this if it looked something like that. It's a Leyland Comet though. That is fantastic. Little look over here, there's a Bedford CF. It's a Morris Z van, those are great. That one's done up in the post office telephone livery. You see those in quite often, but Dad's had a few Z vans before. They're just the loveliest old vans. They're just really great with the ladders. Really do love that. It's a Morris commercial here and a Hotchkiss. Wow, that's a really rare old truck. That is a Hotchkiss pickup. There's this beautiful Leyland coach. We've seen this one quite a few times, but it was in Austin. There's two of these going on. There's a Leyland and an Austin. This I think actually might be the Austin. Yes, it's the Austin, this one. Sorry about that. It's the Austin coach. This one just next to the Thames Trader ERF. And Atkinson, another Thames Trader among others down there. But yeah, that lovely Austin K something, like a K7. I really don't know, but an Austin K something coach, custom body, obviously absolutely beautiful. But my favourite is probably the lovely little Morris Z van. I absolutely love the look of that. I think the little Bedford coach is probably a little bit intimidated by the might of the Volvo. Here we are in the motorbike section. We'll have a little look around some of these. Now that's an especially cool thing. This is basically a push bike with an engine mounted on the front. It's known as a Cycle Master usually. Sometimes you see the engines mounted on the front like this one, sometimes they're on the back like that, but that's really, really cool. Just an engine on a conventional push bike. Maybe I'll have to do that one day. Well, here we have a Lister Junior powered motorbike. Wow. A stationary engine. So we got this belt obviously going around like that, and then that goes to there, then across an axle, and then that goes to here. Wow. So even on idle, that wheel's spinning pretty quick, you know. I bet that would be actually a really quick bike. I don't know what sort of clutch setup or anything it has. It's obviously got a drive belt here for an alternator, so obviously it is charging. I think that's the little battery. Apparently it's very smooth. There's the air intake, single Amal carburettor. Wow. Got the fuel tank on the other side. I've never seen that before. That is great. So yeah, that was an absolutely incredible Lister D. Got this Greaves here. Now what is this? An aerial. That's quite a sleek bit of kit. Stunning Norton. There's a BSA, but look at this. Fantastic sidecar on this 1951 BSA. VP sheet metal sidecar. Very nice and streamlined. It's almost like aero technology, isn't it? That's just so cool. It's got a lovely Lucas spot lamp, which just suits it so well. It's on wire wheel on the side as well. That's probably like an old trailer wheel or something, which is super cool. There's another sidecar here. That's probably another trailer wheel or something. This is a Watsonian sidecar, a more common sidecar make. Another BSA, British Small Arms. They used to make rifles and things like that before making motorbikes in the sort of late 1910s. This is a Sunbeam, just post-war bike, but I really like these. They're just, everything on them is just so sort of big and heavy on these Sunbeams. You've got the motorcycle size AA badge, but as you can see, these are shaft drive, no chain drive in them. It's just everything. It's like the sort of king of motorbikes as opposed to likes of the Brough Superior, where in my opinion these are just some of the best bikes. These lovely Sunbeams, it's huge lamp, everything is just so heavy and big on these. It's just great. I really do like these Sunbeams. Yeah, that's, look at the size of the saddle as well. Literally everything is just half like the size of a normal bike, and put another half of it on, you know. It's just so nice and heavy. Real quality bike, that. Bit more sidecar goodness beyond the Hondas and Matchlesses. Of course, there are a lot of these Japanese bikes on the scenes now with their electric starters. Obviously they did very well with competing against the likes of these big old sort of British beasts, which were really hard to start sometimes with their kickstarts, which are not easy to operate, as we watched someone struggling to start a Norton earlier. This is a Greaves Villiers 2-stroke engine, like a trials bike, that one, historic trials bike. And then there's a Honda. Just beyond that is a fantastic, what brand is this bike? A Paytree. Hold on, let's have a look at this one. Up under here, just beyond the Honda 750. Oh, Panther. Wow, never seen a Panther motorcycle before, but look at the sidecar as well. Don't know whether the sidecar's a Panther. I think it's a Panther M100, 1961, 600cc. That is one large engine in that motorbike. Yeah, and this is a Panther sidecar. Oh, it's a Busma Astral. It's double adult sidecar, this is, which is very streamlined. Double adult, so you can fit two in line. And yeah, that is one handsome bike, but with the sidecar, I'm sure that's probably one of the most eye-catching things here in the motorbike section. I love the sliding windows as well on the sidecar. A Norman Nippy, I'm sure some of you guys remember these. 49cc 1961 moped, pedal and pop. These are called. Pedal it to start to get going, and then you engage the motor. Look at this lovely pre-war bike. Something about pre-war bikes is just so cool. I don't know what brand. It's a BSA. It's a BSA engine, that's for sure. But the look of these pre-war bikes, so sort of low slung. The lovely bent handlebars. Let's get a look at the front of this. Just so nice and oily and original. This one. This is one of my favourite bikes here, actually. It's probably the one I'd have. Yeah, BSA, pre-war era BSA, but it's just They're fantastic looking bikes, just really sort of low slung, you know, just looks really cool compared to the much more upright later bikes, and even the later British bikes like that BSA. The sort of the low slung pre-war bikes really just do it for me. I just think that the stance of them is just so cool. Yeah, love that. The lovely 6-volt glow will come from that lamp, and that will look absolutely lovely. That is one of my favourite bikes here. I could definitely see myself on something like that. That just looks really, really cool. Low slung like a racing bike. There's a few more over here. What is this? This is a Heinkel Tourist. This one is, wow, that's quite the scooter. And once again, just another gorgeous pre-war bike. One thing I do like about these type of bikes is how low the saddles are mounted, and how high the sort of bars are. Just gives it that real racer look on that particular Rouge, which is absolutely mint. Just the best shape of bikes, I think, these pre-war era bikes. It might just be post-war, this, to be fair, but it's basically pre-war in design. Very little silencing on that one as well, so that would sound fantastic and quite loud indeed. That lovely Rouge, which has just got a perfect stance. Just beyond this glorious 1958 Velocette is another Cyclemaster. We saw a front wheel powered Cyclemaster, and that's a rear wheel powered Cyclemaster. The MG-YT is parading around with the other classic cars in the arena. They've just been called out. We've just about caught them. And there's the beautiful bull-nosed Morris. I was looking at that earlier. Everything about that car is right. It's so, so lovely. Heinkel. Got 2 lanes for me now. The Silver Spirit, I think, was one of the first ones out. Yeah, flurry of other classic automotive gems. Heinkel's up the inside of the MGTF. It's very eye-catching in that colour, I do like that. There's the red one, do love that. Red Trojan, the owner of that little bubble car. She has quite a collection of bubble cars. There's the stunning Ford Model Y. Love that little car. Just behind the immaculate Ford console, lovingly restored. There's the Triumph Roadster. MGA, TR7, they're all coming in now. I spy a standard Vanguard. TR7 really pops in red. You don't see too many in red actually.
Right, you've got a good cross section.
100E.
So we'll see what's
Spitfire.
See if we've got a couple of the same. We'll
There's the absolutely immaculate standard Vanguard, Phase 1A.
Thing twice. So this is a working. Yeah. So it's never had any work done to it, no?
I think I've actually been quite restrained regarding the auto jumbles today. Only £5 spent. Well, I think with the classic cars all in the arena, each owner getting interviewed about their classic and vintage pride and joy, I'll end this video here. We've had an absolutely fantastic day here today at the Malpas Yesteryear Rally. Steam lorries, road rollers, traction engines, classic trucks. I didn't get to look at all those actually. So we'll have a little pan of them. That's a super nice Bedford tow truck over there, among many other nice trucks, and of course the amazing classic cars and many nice motorbikes, including the Lister D powered motorbike. That was That was quite a thing, that was. That was one of my favourites for sure. So do let me know what your favourites would have been. Would it have been a motorbike, a truck, or some of the cars? Just let me know in the comments below. While you're at it, check out the channel homepage once you finish watching this video for past takes and features of various Steam rallies, classic car shows, and a bit of our own classic car content. The poor old Standard today is somewhere in the public car park over there because we didn't think we'd be coming today, but we did anyway. But it was nice to get it out. It's all running okay. So do make sure to subscribe, comment below and all that. I'm going to say thanks for watching and bye for now.
What about when you're covering these 20,000 miles? Is it comfortable to... Is it comfortable?